The court heard how Mr Bernard Kilkenny, an off-duty Garda from County Mayo, was in Dublin for the All-Ireland final when the alleged incident occurred. Whilst chatting with friends on Talbot Street, he was suddenly struck on the buttocks. Upon turning around, he saw the accused, Robert Montague of Bram Stoker Crescent, whom he said had adopted a martial arts pose. Mr Montague was heard to say, "What are you bleeding looking at?" But before an answer could be given, the accused kicked the plaintiff in the chin, knocking him backwards into a shopping trolley. Mr Montague then pushed the trolley in the direction of Amiens Street. Upon reaching Connolly Station, he removed the cowboy hat the plaintiff was wearing and urinated in it before placing it back on his head. The plaintiff said of the experience, "It frightened the shite out of me altogether, Lord Jesus." For his part, Mr Montague told the court, "Them culchies is always here, all over the place, like cattle they are. Smell a shite off them." The case continues.
I actually came here a month ago, and it was kind of a weird time because in England we were going through this situation where we had this, basically there was killer on the loose. He was on the loose for a week, and he was hiding in the woods, and it was a very tense affair, and the whole of England, all the media, all the police in the country were focused on this one big story, and I came here at exactly the same time where Dublin, and I think this explains the differences very, very well, was focused on another story of a missing penguin. Which led to one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had in a taxi, where I sat in the taxi and the driver went, "So, do you think we'll find him?" And I was like, well, you know, I mean, they're certainly searching. I know they're all out there. But he's used to the outdoors. Yes, apparently he's a survivalist. Yes, he's a survivalist. Poor little fella. What do you mean, poor little fella? You know, he tried to murder. He tried to murder his girlfriend. Well, I didn't know that about them. He's on steroids, I haven't read up on the subject. This penguin's a lunatic. Penguin. What a fantastic story this was. So, please correct me if I'm wrong, it was a stag night, is that right? And some people broke into Dublin Zoo in the middle of the night in a taxi. The taxi was waiting. Dublin taxi drivers, we've learned not to ask questions. Could you just wait here? Are you going to the cash point? Kind of. They put the penguin into a carrier bag, and then I suppose they just couldn't stop laughing and dropped him off on O'Connell Street. They found him, didn't they? They found him and they put him back. You can imagine all the other penguins when he came back. They must have been... What's the story? Oh, it was unbelievable. I was asleep. He was asleep. Listen, shush and listen. And the next thing I know, I'm in a small bag. No, Lidl, the German shopping centre. They just dropped me off on the corner of O'Connell Street. Were you scared? I wasn't scared. There was signs up telling me that 117 humans had died, but nothing about penguins at all.
There was a set of identical twin sisters who worked in a shop in the town, and one of them passed away. And about a week later, my friend went in and said to the girl, "Was it you or your sister that died?" Now, you can't be locking people like this up. They need to be let free to roam around the countryside. In Ireland, before we had psychiatric hospitals, all we had were open spaces. If you were mad, people just told you to fuck off.
You ever come through a hotel door and you've got to walk to the reception area and it's just a long way away from reception, and you know the people are looking at you walking through the doors and you've forgotten how to walk because they're watching you walking. Don't look at me when I'm walking. Don't need that pressure. You're going through an airport and you can see that one-way glass. And you're thinking there's cops in behind that, isn't there? They're looking at me right now. I should be doing my I don't have any drugs face. Then you start thinking, what is my don't have any drugs face?
after school, I remember looking for a job, unemployed, in the job centre. First job, you see, a customer service advisor's assistant. None of these jobs, it just gets shiter and shiter every 1 of the years. Just goes mwah, mwah, mwah. Basically means you make the tea for the guy that makes the coffee. Like, everything else is like experience required and qualifications needed. And I was just a dickhead. Right? Just left school, don't have much of that. Last option you've got, you can join the army. Right? You've got the British Army recruitment desk. The guy's there. God, come here, son. Be the best. And I'm thinking, me, join the army, be the best. T-Mobile just said, I don't have enough qualifications to sell phones. Microsoft just said, I don't have enough experience to answer phones. And you want to give me a machine gun? You don't need to be in the army these days to get a gun if you're a young person. A lot of gun crime on the streets, a lot of caps getting popped. I don't really know the solutions. I just know the problems. It used to be in the UK at 14 years old you could legally be in possession of an air rifle. Whilst it's not a proper gun, it's still SWAT, right? But that get moved to 17 years old because you know 17-year-olds, they're dead responsible. If somebody was pointing a gun at you, you'd be going, that's fine, he looks about 17. That's good. You know, that's what he's done. 17 years old to be in possession of a firearm, but you've got to be 18 before you can be in possession of fireworks. 17, you can shoot somebody dead, but you've got to wait a year before you can frighten the shite out of a cat. But drugs, I get offered drugs quite a lot in this game. You get offered the usual suspects like ecstasy, speed, and a drug called horse tranquilizer. You shouting yay or nay? There. I can understand people who don't know anything about drugs. Maybe trying ecstasy because it sounds quite good. Well, the connotations of the name, ecstasy. You think of states of euphoria and happiness. And then speed is pretty self-explanatory. Then horse tranquilizer. That hardly sounds the most sociable of evenings. The fact of replaced the original name with the effect it has on a horse. I think that's the way every drug should be tested. Give a lot of them to horses, then you can see what it actually does to you. It would also make the Grand National pretty interesting. 20 quid on the one that's breakdancing, please.